Hi, and welcome to the first in a series of videos I want to do that is going to focus on the reasons why my husband and I chose to move to Panama rather than Belize or Costa Rica, which were two other countries that were very high up on our list. And I am on the expat groups in all of these countries and have learned over the years that this is a decision that a lot of people are trying to make. Should we move to Belize? Should we move to Costa Rica? Should we move to Panama? And for me and my husband, the obvious choice was Panama after doing years, and I mean literally years of research as to which country was going to fit our personal situation and our personal goals the best. And that is absolutely the way you need to approach this decision in your own life. All too often, I see people in these groups that are like, oh my God, the zip line was so amazing. I've got to live there. Okay, that's looking at a country through rose-colored tourist glasses. Look, you're making a major life decision here. A major life decision that in many circumstances, depending upon how you go about it, can be very difficult to easily reverse. So you want to make sure you get it right the first time. And that is going to involve research, research, research. Not just online, not just on YouTube, but getting your boots on the ground and figuring out where you're going to fit in best. Because another thing I see so often is people who say, I'm going to move to Panama. Okay, great. Have you ever been there? What part do you like? Oh, I've never been there. Come on. Let's get smart, people. Let's make super smart decisions in our lives so our lives are easier, because isn't life hard enough as it is? All right, so let me tell you a little bit about our personal situation. I'm an educator, which means what I do for a living is research, research, research. So I'm not just researching biology and chemistry and all these classes that I teach online to students all over the world. I'm researching what we're going to do with our future. And I've been doing this for the past 6 years, steady, both online and boots on the ground. I've spent, not years in all of these locations, but also not just a weekend vacation kind of thing. And after compiling all of this information over the course of 6 years and getting our personal situation in the United States where we wanted it to be, it was time to make the move. We sat down, we laid out all of the information, and Panama came out the winner. But that is just for us. That is just for our individual situation. Your individual situation is going to vary. So I want to make sure you understand that I'm not making this video telling you Panama is the best choice. Definitely don't move to Costa Rica or Belize, because that's not the case. It depends upon so much. And a huge chunk of that is the economic portion of your life. Because I'm telling you, I make decisions based on money. I really do. I don't make decisions based on emotion, because I want to be happy and comfortable and not struggling in the last half of my life. I mean, I'll tell you now, I'm 50, almost 50. And I have worked very hard to get to where I am. And while I still intend to work very hard to get to where I want to be, I don't want to have to struggle. So all of that said, I want to talk about the criteria that my husband and I deemed to be the non-negotiables. These were the things that wherever it was we were going to move to, it had to check every check mark on this list, everything. Because when you're uprooting your life, there are certain things that are not negotiable, and this is the list for us. Again, your criteria is going to vary. Chances are your non-negotiable list is not exactly the same as mine. If it is, hey, you know what? I just made your life super easy by telling you Panama is your best bet. But you need to make your own list of criteria that are non-negotiable. The things that you and your family need to have before you're willing to uproot your life and move to a foreign country. Make that list and then figure out which countries best fit that list of things, because I mean basically that's what we did. So some of these criteria are probably going to fit some things that you want as well. Take those, leave the rest, and here we go. All right, so the first thing is the ability to work and start a business. This is very important to me. I have been an entrepreneur all of my life, like from raising hamsters in 8th grade and selling them. I mean, that has just been my mindset. Actually, before that, my dad used to tell me the story how we had gone on vacation somewhere in Big Bend, Texas, where all there is rocks and dirt. And at 4 years old, I was going around to everyone in the campground trying to sell them rocks. Okay, so it's part of who I am. So to be able to continue to not only run my online school that I currently own, but in order to be able to start up a new business in a completely foreign country was something that was important to me as well. So as far as my own business, I needed to make sure that the situation was friendly for me to be able to run a US-based business from the foreign country with no tax implications from that foreign country. So basically my school is based in the United States. All the banking is there. We have children from all over the world and that kind of thing, but everything is based in the United States. So I needed to make sure that whatever country we were moving to was not going to, not allow me to even work at what to them would be a foreign-owned business without a work permit. I didn't want to have to go through that hassle. I can't have downtime while I'm filing for work permits to continue running my business. And I need to make sure that the infrastructure was there to allow me to run that business as well. And that, well, we'll get to the next part in a second. Also starting a business, that was something that was going to be relatively easy. Look, it's not easy in any country, even your own home country, but something that would be a fairly straightforward, easy prospect for me to be able to do. So hand in hand with work and business are taxes. And this was probably the major deciding factor for me to want to leave Los Angeles and the United States. Look, Los Angeles, California is an expensive place to live. We are taxed to absolute death. We get nothing in return. Okay, don't leave a comment of, oh, you get the fire department or whatever. You know what? For the amount of money that I was putting out, I could hire a private fire department to come put out my house fire and probably get better service. What I was getting in return for what I was putting out, it did not match up. The quality of life versus the amount of taxes I was paying did not match up, both to the state of both to the city, or all three, the city of Los Angeles, the state of California, and the federal government of the United States. That said, I'm not the type of person who doesn't want to pay my taxes. I have no problem paying my taxes if I feel like I'm getting something in return, or the society as a whole is getting something in return. And I wasn't seeing that. So I wanted to change that situation. So wherever I was going to go, now look, I'm still going to have to pay US taxes. That's a given, okay? But not as much, and that'll be a different video, how the tax situation changes if you move from the US to a different country. So make sure you subscribe, because that's coming up. But I wanted to make sure that the country that I was going to was very tax friendly, and that I wasn't going to be double taxed and all of these different sorts of things. Another thing, safety. I mean, you know, that's great if you aren't having to pay as many taxes, but if you're having to spend all of that additional savings in barricading yourself inside of a, barbed wire covered fortress, that trade-off isn't exactly so great. So safety, definitely a big concern. And I'd want to point out that I have traveled all around the world, and rarely have I ever felt unsafe. In fact, I can barely even think of a time, and I put myself in all kinds of crazy situations. Anywhere in the world can be unsafe, even your home country. Los Angeles, not a safe place to live, okay? But I'm talking about comparatively. Another thing that we needed to have was an international airport. As I've mentioned, we travel a lot. So being able to be close to an international hub was important for us. I do not want to have to make 18 different connections through some podunk airport in the middle of nowhere just to get to, Atlanta. It's just not what I want to do. So having the proximity of that, I don't mind driving to a good international hub if I have to. I don't have to live right next door to the airport, but I want access to a strong airport. Affordable real estate. again, coming from Los Angeles, the land of ridiculously priced real estate, we wanted a place where we were going to be able to afford the type of property we wanted and not overextend ourselves. Because here's been my kind of motto with this whole move. I am not willing to put more money into setting ourselves up here than I am willing to completely walk away from, because that could happen. You never know what the future holds. I'm not putting my entire life savings into anything at this point, into any one thing. Okay, and I highly recommend you don't do that either. But that meant we needed affordable real estate, because I needed to have like some backup in case things go south, because hey, that happens even with the best of plans and the best of planning and the logistics and taking emotion out of your decisions. Things can still go wrong because, welcome to COVID land. All right, next is ease of residency. There are countries that make it practically impossible for you to become a resident. Some that make it a little easier, but it's still difficult, and you have to go through like temporary residency before you can get to permanent residency. And then there are those that allow you to not pass go directly to permanent residency. And that's what I wanted. I wanted permanent residency. And the reason for that has never been any clearer than during the pandemic now. If you are just in a country living there as what they call a permanent tourist, so you're just crossing borders every 30 days or 90 days or whatever it is that is required in that country to reset your tourist visa, and you have financial stake in that country, like maybe you even own a house and you're going back and forth, welcome to COVID. The borders are closed. So they're not going to let you in. Even if you own property or businesses or whatever, they don't care. You're not a resident. You're not getting in. Temporary residency makes me nervous as well. I'm sure plenty of you, if you're expats watching this, have temporary residency and are thrilled to death with it, but it's just not something that I wanted to do. I am a more permanent person. I wanted something that was permanent. So if I was in the United States and another pandemic hit, I could get back to my property if I needed to with my permanent residence status. A stable economy. It's important, all right? A country that, look, I don't think there's a single country in the world right now that has what we could really define as a stable economy. Everything is crazy. But something that had some sort of stability to it was important for us, that we didn't have to worry about taxes being raised constantly because the government is trying to make up for deficits and all of this sort of thing, and that the economy was based on something other than tourism. Again, COVID, tourism isn't doing so hot right now. So if your economy is based on tourism or even like exporting products to other countries, you could be in trouble. And then the last one that's on my list is good infrastructure. I want decent roads. Okay. Again, this is something in Los Angeles. People don't understand. Los Angeles, I'm in a pothole constantly. All right. Tearing up my car. So I really wanted to come somewhere that had better infrastructure. Ain't nowhere you gonna be going in Central America that there ain't no pothole. Okay. I'm telling you that right now. There's potholes in the roads, but some of them are much better. I've driven these roads in Panama, the back rural roads, potholes, but the main like arteries, these are some dang nice roads here. Okay. We'll talk about all of that later. In addition to like road infrastructure, things like internet. When you own an online business, that's the most important thing in your life. So being able to get reliable internet was super important to us as well. All right. So those were our non-negotiables. Now, some of the other things that other people might consider to be non-negotiables would be like cost of living, especially if you're on a fixed income, you're a retiree, you're on a pension, and you only have X amount of dollars to play with every month. You need to really look at what the cost of living is in your country. Again, I'm coming from Los Angeles. I survived there. I'll be fine here. So, because it's basically the same income. So that wasn't a huge factor for us. Another one that a lot of people want is a strong expat community. They want to be surrounded by like-minded people, people that they can relate to better, that sort of a thing. I'm basically a hermit, and I would be thrilled to death to be on my little jungle property and not see anybody for weeks except my husband. That's fine by me. I'm not a social butterfly. I don't need to be out building a community or a tribe or a whatever it is these days. I'm happy to be friendly and sociable and talk to people when the occasion arises, but it's not something that I need in my life. However, there are a lot of people that do need that connection. And so that might be something that's on your non-negotiable list. Can you get into a strong expat community in that country? And another thing is like availability of products and services. You know, I'm going to tell you right now, I have a serious addiction to Diet Dr. Pepper. And everywhere I go in the world, that's like the first thing I'm looking for is Diet Dr. Pepper. It's almost impossible to find here, but I can live without it. Okay. There may be some things that you can't live without. So you're going to kind of have to check and see, because the ability of products are going to be different. Okay. It's not going to be like going to the grocery store in your home country. Although I have found here in Panama, I can get almost everything I can get back home except Diet Dr. Pepper, which apparently they carry at one store, but they never have it. Something else a lot of people might be concerned with that isn't a huge concern for us is medical care. We have our own private insurance, so medical care is not something that we have to worry about here. But I know that a lot of people, especially retirees, do have medical issues and concerns and want to make sure that they have access to excellent medical care. So that might be something else that you might want to research really strongly before you go to another country. So those are just a few things. Look, there are probably 99 others that I never even thought of because they're not my non-negotiables. So again, sit down, make your list, and go from there. All right, so that's the first part of this video. So now you know where we stand. You know what our situation is. You know what our criteria are. The next video is going to then take you through the entire process that we used to go through Belize, go through Costa Rica, go through Panama, and figure out which one was going to match our criteria the best. So make sure you subscribe so you'll get notified as soon as that video is out. Should be in a couple of days.